everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Rainbow Warrior. Today, I have to keep my humor up because some of this stuff that's going on in collectives is really dark. So, today we're talking about charlatan shamans, one of my favorite subjects. Everybody wants to be a shaman because everybody wants to rule the world. Now, let me talk to you about the deep, deep wisdom of what it means to be a shaman and why there's so many charlatans out there and why the word shaman has been hijacked itself. You can't even use the word shaman anymore because so many people are saying, I'm a shaman, I'm a shaman, he's a shaman, they're a shaman, everybody's a freaking shaman. Well, let me tell you, the shaman, a shaman, has an intense amount of integrity and lives in the unknown. That's the truth of being a shaman. And if you can't choose to be a shaman, you can't train to be a shaman, you are chosen, you're chosen by spirit. And a true shaman learns direct from spirit. Now, the shadows of being a shaman, and I'm working with animal wisdom here, the shadows are control and judgment. Now, I had some fantastically dark experiences with charlatan shamans. I had a really long traumatic lifetime and journey of overcoming abnormal amounts of abuse, specifically violence that just followed me everywhere. And um, I tried everything to cure myself. I went on this deep journey of taking responsibility for absolutely everything. And I was growing and growing and growing and growing. And then I came to plant medicine. And I only started in 2019, but I quantum leaped because I didn't listen to the nonsense that was being spread around the spiritual community. Now, if you're like me, you're probably aware of all of that. And it's the reason why I stopped working in groups and why I started working in divine union with my partner. And the formidable changes that that brought to me were miraculous. And the when I first started working with plant medicine, there was always a shaman. Now, the first thing I did, which most people do, is I put shaman on a pedestal, which is very narcissistic. And I'm going to talk about communal narcissism as well. Um, the the problem with putting someone on a pedestal is that you automatically believe they're better than you. This is what the church does. They make you look for God outside of yourself instead of inside of you. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have the ability to be a shaman. Of course, everybody does, but there is a chosen path. And in this lifetime, most people are not part of that chosen path. Now, in my book about plant medicine integration, I talk about the power of sacrifice and how we got in this mess and how the temples were overtaken in the Mayan temples and the Aztecs. I journeyed through this through the Akash, and how the priests um, overtook power by manipulating the people, represented by monkeys. If you go to Kuala Lumpur or anywhere in Asia where there's monkeys, you see they hang around the temples. This is because the jaguars aren't there anymore, and the jaguars are a representation of shamans. Now, the problem with that is monkeys don't know how to run the temples, and they run amok. And there's a lot of truancy there, and this is what I saw in a spiritual community: a lot of truancy, a lot of I know this, I know that, I'm better than you. A lot of grandiosity, which is the shadow of the jaguar, because judgment comes from grandiosity. It's like, oh, I know that. I've already learnt that. Don't you already know that? And it's a form of laziness because when you stop growing, you start pointing fingers. It's essentially when you come to a brick wall because you refuse to take responsibility for the next step. And this is why being a shaman is so incredibly, incredibly challenging. Because truly, to be a shaman, you have to give up everything, absolutely everything. And a lot of people project this onto loss and grief. So I've met charlatan shamans who had lost someone, like say, for example, a mother or a father or a sibling had committed suicide or been killed in an accident, and that to them was their justification for saying that they were a shaman. But it's absolutely not. It's not. It's absolutely not. These things come to test us so that we can open up greater. And there has to be an enormous sacrifice. And sacrifice doesn't mean sacrificing everything that you love dear. It's quite the opposite, actually. It's about sacrificing that which is a lie. And essentially, everything we have been told is a lie in society, essentially everything, because everything is upside down, back to front, inside out. And when we sit in ceremony with others and we sit in front of shamans, it can be particularly dangerous. Actually, it's very dangerous for me. I sat in front of quite a few charlatans, and they stole a lot from me. See my video on soul retrievals. It's very easy for someone who's in a position of power to steal parts of your soul, especially when you've taken medicine because you're more open. And in my situation, I was just sat there. I would always sit in a particular position, and the first time I sat in ceremony, I saw some, incredible things, and I did a sharing afterwards, and everybody just looked at me wide-eyed, like, I don't see that. Everybody's like, I just see sacred geometry, and I'm like, oh right, okay, because I saw like I saw I saw the creation of love and the wedding of the creation of all that exists and stuff like this. Like I saw some really wild stuff. And because I shared that, the guy who was holding space with a shaman, but he was manipulating him as well, started to unconsciously, I wasn't aware of this, became jealous. And because I gave him that power, or putting him in pedestal, he was able to influence me and put doubt in my mind, which is something they do. And this is a form of communal narcissism, right? Communal narcissism is essentially, excuse me, communal narcissism is where somebody who is used to being in front of large crowds of people and enjoying that power of receiving attention, but behind closed doors, they're a complete a-hole. And they're when they come into one-to-one contact with you, they'll whisper things to you and say really nasty things to you, and then they'll turn around and you say, "Oh, why did you say that?" They're like, I didn't say anything. And because they've got these all these fans that back them up, they get away with it. You probably recognize this in your life. You probably met people like this. And there might be people who work in be the head of charities. It's a really disgusting form of narcissism. And just imagine in plant medicine ceremonies how destructive that can be. It's disgusting. And the, when I stopped, when I took myself out of that energy, out of those tribes, let's call them, really started to see everything that it was, and I felt like I'd been duped. I felt humiliated. I'm like, oh no, I've fallen for it again. Because I'd received that kind of behavior from men in the past, and what was most disgusting, and you've probably heard about this, is the abuse that those kind of men put upon women. This guy that I made is slept with several women from different ceremonies. I mean, that's just so sacrilege against the reverence to working in plant medicine and working with women and to shamanism. It's complete sacrilege. And the thing is that the women, if they knew the truth, if they knew the truth of what had happened and what he was doing, and all the women who were supporting him, as fans, they would be utterly horrified and probably fall into deep shame. And I went through that process because he duped me into not believing the messages that I'd received from spirit, because he wasn't receiving those messages. And so he became jealous and started to confuse me and make me doubt myself. And I noticed this a lot on my journey. When you shine your light in front of people and they're not able to shine their own light, they start trying to take you down. It's through a form of jealousy. And check out my podcast on the wasp, animal wisdom, which spells it out on how men try to steal and women the power of influence, the influence of love through the jealousy and the smear campaign. And these days, everybody wants to be a shaman, right? Because they see the power it holds, and this is the distorted monkey. This is the tribe. These are the people. And what monkeys and the tribe of people, what they misunderstand is their important role in all of this, in supporting the shamans. And this is what really touches my heart, is if you're out there and you desire to be a shaman, just stop and think. Just stop and feel in your heart, is that really what your heart wants, or is that what your ego wants because you want to impress people and you want to stand up in front of people? I know this is true because I went through it myself. I wanted to sing. I joke about how a lot of, people in the spiritual community, especially women, they have a drum. Everyone has a drum, and every man has a guitar, you know. We'll sit round a fire and I'll play you a romantic tune. And it's all to impress. It's very grandiose narcissism. It's very look at me, look at what I can do, and it's a feeding energy, feeding off that energy from others when it's not in purity. A shaman has to be hollow bone. He has to be complete integrity. Let everything flow through him. And these days that's not happening. Even when tribes, I've come into distorted interactions with tribes. I met, I'm not going to say any names, but I met a famous shamanic woman who's from one of the deep tribes in South America, and she was known for her story of how she became a shaman. And I had a deep amount of respect for her until I met her, and I realized that her tribe had been infiltrated by the church. And so all of a sudden she had all these judgments against sexuality, and she tried to steal parts of my soul, and she was successful. And until I realized what it was, and I had to deal with it. And these things can ruin your life and take you to the edge of suicide. And I've had to go through this numerous times, and this is why I'm making this video, because it may save your life. Being a shaman um, is not something you call in. If you are sane and you love your life, it's definitely not something you call in, because it requires so much sacrifice that you will lose all your friends, you will probably lose all of your family, you will definitely lose your job, you will probably lose all your money, you may lose your fitness, um, and it's extremely difficult, and you can't do it on your own either, and you need constant direct support and communication with spirit. And these kind of people that are out there who are serving medicine, they are doing a lot of damage to the community and to tribes. And the reason for this is the true shamans. And I'm calling out as well energetically, and calling out that one day I hope all the real shamans that are out there, that we don't know about, the ones that are behind closed doors, I really hope that we gather and we dance together. I hope that we gather and we dance together. I hope and I wish that we dance together in harmony of love, because the shamans were taken down for their power. And I totally get why it happened. I totally get it. It all came through outward control, and it came through the power of lust and power over, whereas love is just power, but power over is control. And so there's only a fraction of people who have the real gift of holding shamanic energy, because it requires such an enormous amount of sacrifice, and that never doesn't really end because it's a constant journey. And when you're working with people who have suffered, when people have been through such enormous levels of abuse, you have to be so aligned. It's like balancing a feather on a tripwire that's hanging over the Grand Canyon in gale force winds. That's really the level of integrity that is needed to work at this level, because of the level of distortions. If you watch my video on being broken, I talk about the distortions of the soul in a cracked mirror, why the matrix fills our society and our bodies, and everything we watch, everything we see and hear through all of our senses is designed to make us create distortions so that we don't see ourselves for the love that we are. And shamans are designed to do this, to acclimate people to the truth of who they are, because it's a very dangerous process if you get it wrong. And these people that go out there and serve medicine and take advantage of people, they're sick, is disgusting. And I'm against it. And I stand for love. I stand against what they are doing. And I started my journey when I left the that working groups. I started on my own in my bedroom, and that was a terrible idea. I'll do a video about when I journeyed with. I had COVID and I took medicine. That was painful. So I met my partner, and she had experience of talking to medicine, talking to spirit, and we started working divine union and kind of mirroring each other. Like, how does this work? How can we get this to work? And it was really beautiful, and we became best friends, and that's how divine union works. It starts with being best friends, coming into friendship first, rather than lustful and sexual desire. That's why most relationships don't work. And when you come into friendship and you're working shamanically like this in divine union, where you're sat opposite each other and confessing everything you've been through, then you have your judgments come from a place of friendship and observation rather from, oh, you're not the person I thought you are, when you're in a relationship. And that can be extremely toxic and damaging to both people, and can actually take you further backwards because you put abuse on top of abuse. So it really has to be a twin flame journey where you come as friends first, because when you meet your twin flame, it's not like, oh, whoa, cool, you're really hot, you're my twin flame. No, 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 no. At first, it's friendship. You might feel like a sister or a brother, because in some respects that is true, because we are all brothers and sisters, right? In oneness. And when you begin that journey, there's a lot of confession and sacrifice, and you start building a rapport, and love is built on that rapport, because true love is true friendship. That's what we discovered. And being a shaman is no laughing matter, and it's definitely not something you wish for, because it comes with an enormous amount of responsibility, and it's a 24-hour job. It's 24/7. It's 24/7, Even when a shaman is sleeping, the jaguar is in the dreams and he's doing the work, he's on the journey. you know. So you've got to rest when you can, just like a cat. So I hope this is of help to someone who's been through the journey of being abused by charlatans. And if you have, please contact me, because I am able to provide one-to-one coaching on anything that is to do with narcissistic healing, anything to do with spiritual guidance, anything to do with animal wisdom, but that's extremely advanced, and anything to do with voice coaching, anything to do with spirituality or healing. Yeah, anything. So get right in there and contact me. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.